Graham Banks.
Steve, how are you?
Oh, yeah, alright. We are embarking on a slightly new era.
Yes, sorry.
A bit of reworking, well, I was going to say a bit of working by you, but that's not true. A lot of working by you. People will notice a couple of aesthetic changes, at least to the video version of this, the Should I Play This Game podcast for episode 285 on this, the 7th of August, 2023. But that'll play out as we go along. I have a question I would like to ask you,
Yes.
Graham Banks. The Nintendo Switch's successor is rumored to be coming out in late 2024.
Uh-huh.
What would you call it?
Well, the obvious thing would be Nintendo Switch 2, would be what most
That would be obvious.
obvious ones. But, there's been rumours of what Nintendo Switch XL, or maybe the Pro is another name for it too.
I think that's fraught with Wii U issues.
Oh, I'm 100% for sure. That's the most likely thing I'll do is to probably do Nintendo Switch 2, because that just makes it the next one of those. That gets away from your Pro, Pro XL kind of, what the hell does that actually mean kind of an issue. They could come up with a complete new name, but I think if they did that, that'd be weird, because the Switch is the click of the fingers
It's got
thing.
market recognition.
Market recognition around it also.
Big time.
I think it has to be something Switch something.
Hey, look, Gus is hanging out. That's the most surprising. He's like, "What up, yo?" Oh fuck! I did not expect that whatsoever. What you calling him for? You should have left him.
No, he's finished doing what he was doing. He's right.
A special third guest.
Yep.
I posit Super Nintendo Entertainment Switch.
Yeah, maybe, but yeah.
Basically to bring back SNES.
SNES, yeah.
Mainly because I'm an idiot. Like, Super Nintendo Entertainment Switch makes no sense whatsoever.
No, of course it doesn't, no. But you can call it Nintendo Super Nintendo Switch. Kind of does.
Yeah, SNS is not bad.
Not bad. You could do that. There's news. You could do that, but yeah, I mean, they'll probably just go with the simplest, straightest forward thing. Just call it add a 2 on the end of it.
Switch U done.
Yeah.
Just to go by the conventions that they've established. But hey, we haven't done one of these in 3 weeks.
Yes, it's been a while.
We were scheduled to do one last week. You were feeling a bit off.
You could say that, yes. I'll get into some detail-ish about that when I start.
I did some a special edition of Friday Night Fight Night on a Sunday. With some Street Fighter. I tidied up some stuff in the World Tour in there as well. So there's stuff. I did stuff. It wasn't just me getting my head kicked in online. But hey, we'll get to that. Yeah, all right. So how about we go to the biggest aesthetic change, and one that is causing you less work time issues for this thing.
Yes. Yes.
Go to the games that you have been playing.
I've been playing. So we'll do this bit first, then we'll do this button, and look at that.
Way. So, do you want to briefly explain what it is that's changed? Because I mean, outside of the fact it's a very nice sort of thumbnail of the quote-unquote cover art and some details up above it. Do you want to just quickly explain what has led to this?
Yeah, so I mean the big overhead of putting the podcast together each week we're using vMix on our end, so just behind the curtain. I'm using a local camera, obviously. Steve's in a vMix call, and with vMix you can basically add these sources, inputs into a scene, which is what we're looking at now. So what I was then on the old podcast, I had this. People recall from the last time we did one of these was right hand side of this very much similar layout now was a big orange box, which was it stood out and was kind of ugly to be brutally honest, but it worked, and it had the list
It matched
of
the colour scheme.
It matched the colour scheme. It was a bit.
Oh, I just noticed I have a frame now.
Yeah, well, you had a frame before. It probably wasn't particularly noticeable, but yeah, I've made a bit of a.
No, I meant from when we were doing this yesterday.
Oh yeah, that was changed. Yes.
So on Saturday we did a bit of a test run for you to show me some of the shit you've been working on. And I didn't have an orange frame or nothing.
Yeah, so I don't think I did either. I think. Yeah.
No, you did.
The funny thing was all the vMix settings and stuff were really weird yesterday, and I couldn't get access to half of them. Anyway, so I fixed that with a restart the whole PC. Restart the PC, fixed that, oddly enough. So basically what it was that there was a lot of overhead to get the list of games from Steve and myself, update this big text box on the vMix screen, in order to then display the list of games in vMix for people to look at while we were talking through them. What I decided to do was had a little web-based thing that I created for just tracking that stuff myself, mainly for adding the episode to our podcast host and the YouTube stuff. Just made it easy to track that stuff, make it easier to manage it. I basically put that on the internet, so it's a secret squirrel site between Steve and myself. And on that site, Steve can add the games he's played, which we'll get to in a second. I can add the games I've played, and we've got integration into the Internet Game Database, which is igdb.com, which pulls in the cover art, pulls in the name of the game, pulls in the platforms it's on, release dates, publishers, developers, everything like that, and displays it. I've made it display it like this. So this actually is input of the camera from my end, Steve's video call, and the web page is overlaid over the top of it, so I can actually scroll down the page. So
for some weird reason, the web page is actually white, but vMix displays it black.
Yes, which is really odd and confused the hell out of me the first time I did it, because I played with it a couple of weeks back. I thought, what the hell? Where's all the text gone? So the text at the top is actually, if you look at this on an actual browser, you can't see the text at all because everything's white.
Yep.
So it's really.
I can attest.
It's really quite odd. I don't know if there's a setting in vMix that does that, but anyway, it is what it is. So that's basically what I've now got. So this makes it much easier for us to put the podcast together. It also will lead into probably some fancy stuff, hopefully, with Game of the Year when we get to that in January of next year, all things being equal, along similar lines what we're seeing here. But that's still being worked on. But yeah, that's basically the changes. That just makes it easier primarily for me, if I'm brutally honest, to put the whole thing together. But
I just sit here and talk shit.
Yeah, you just do that stuff. But now you can add your games in, and it just automatically appears on the screen. So it's actually pretty neat the way that all.
I'm doing stuff too.
Yeah, you're now helping out. It's really good.
I'm helping.
But
yeah, the Ralph Wiggum of podcasts.
Yeah.
God damn it. Good old Ralph. What a pure and innocent. Is there a purer, more innocent soul in cartoons than Ralph Wiggum? Other than maybe Butters and South Park.
I'd have to know who that is first before you can actually answer that question. Who the hell is Ralph what?
Ralph Wiggum. It's Clancy Wiggum, the police officer's son. He's a little not all there.
From what are you talking?
The Simpsons. The Simpsons.
I don't watch The Simpsons. God.
Yeah, I know. Which is where I'm like sitting there going, the fuck, what? Oh, funny stuff. So
anyway,
you've got at least one game there.
I've got 3 games that I've played over the last couple of weeks.
Get fucked.
One of which I'd actually been playing for a while before. I just sort of hadn't got around to telling people about it. The reason why we haven't done a podcast in a while, because I did a couple of work trips, which is sort of led into, I think we had a discussion about the travelling with the Ally, probably the last podcast, I think, maybe?
Yep.
Maybe I was leading into
the title of that was from a shitty pun that you made.
Yes, I think so. So I've now travelled with it twice. It's really good. I'm happy with the purchase of it. Um, I have played, and the reason why we didn't record, sort of, I got quite sick while I was away over in Melbourne last week. No, week before, depending on how you count it. So that's probably why we've had a bit of a delay on this podcast, a couple of interruptions to it. But the main thing I played was Viewfinder, um, which we did a video about probably 6 weeks ago, maybe 7 or
It
eight.
was during the last Steam Next Fest. It was
So,
it was one of the Next Fest demos that we
yeah,
looked at.
we looked at. So I think from memory that demo had about 10 levels in it, if I recall, maybe a bit less than that. Can't quite remember. It showed
The
off
term level in Viewfinder seems a little bit more nebulous
Oh yeah, I mean
because like certain areas can connect.
they call them levels in the game. They literally say, but they've also got. So the thing that demo didn't show off was how the various what's the word levels connect to each other. In each level, which is you solve a puzzle within that level to get out of it. Basically, you teleport either to the next level. There might be 2 or 3 of those in a row, and then you teleport back to a sort of a hub area. And there's probably, I think there's now been 4 hub areas, and the hub areas seem to be related to one of the characters from the game that you are hearing about but have no interaction with. So the game's kind of odd because you play as this silent protagonist you're doing the puzzle stuff, and you're getting talked at by a person called Jesse, who I think is also sort of anime style. You're in this machine that's doing the simulations of all the environments you're in. At one point after the end of the first couple of levels, you actually get out of it and go into the real world, which I think is one of the things they hid from the demo clearly because it's a pretty big story thing.
Yeah, I don't remember that being something that came up in the demo
No,
when we looked at it.
it wasn't in the demo. It was not in the demo. So after one of the missions in the demo led to this particular thing in the real game. And in a sense, I'm not too sure. They're trying to find something. They're trying to find something about the climate, like some climate control device of some description. They're trying to go through.
Yeah, that's right. I remember hearing about that.
They're trying to go through this simulation to find it or discover it. I'm not really sure what the end goal is, other than they keep talking about it. So in the first couple of levels, this character Jesse will just talk to you. You don't respond back to them, nothing like that. Later on in the levels, though, she can't talk to you directly. There's something like the storyline in the game is that there's some interference from the simulations causing her inability to do that. But what she can call, she can sort of essentially phone boxes. They're in the environment that when they ring, you go and answer them. If you didn't get there in time, it leaves a voice message, which is kind of cool.
Or if you choose to ignore the phone call.
Yeah, either way, it'll just ring out and go to a sort of a voicemail thing. In essence, that's how you communicate with her. Not that she's really doing that much to help per se, other than saying stuff like, "I think you're close," you go in the right direction, sort of stuff, but nothing really more substantive than that. What you're also doing though is interacting. I think we might have done it a couple in the demo in the video we did. You can interact with these what are they? Must be gramophones, I guess, like rolled style or LP players, vinyl players.
Yeah, very gramophone-ish.
I'm not sure they actually are, but yeah, like the big speaker on the top of the device kind of thing. You interact with them, and that's the audio log that's in every game like this, sort of, or in games like this. But they've got.
It's funny to have an analog audio log.
Yeah, I think that's probably what they're trying to. Because the funny thing, like the whole environment the game is set is definitely, it would appear to me to be in the future. So the fact that they're using looks to be using vinyl records to record these things is kind of odd to me. But so in terms of that, you interact with these things, and they basically play the audio log that has one of the other characters in the game that again you've not had interaction with, describing something they've tried to do or some issue they've got or something. I think the story in of itself is kind of meh. I'm not really sure it goes anywhere. I mean, it could wrap up nicely at the end of it. I don't know, but the story as it's being told is you could basically completely miss it. Like if you don't interact with these gramophone things, you get none of this sort of background lore, whatever the hell you want to describe it as. You wouldn't even hear it at all. So just be a series of puzzle environments that you're moving through. So yeah, I'm not
How are
really.
you finding the audio logs?
I mean, I find them interesting-ish, but as it sort of goes back to what I'm saying before, like
Yep.
for what purpose I don't know. Like if there's,
Okay.
I don't know if there's a payoff for all of them at the end of the game. I see I've got one. I think I'm on the second last hub area.
Which hub are you in? The fourth one?
I think I'm on the fourth of five. I think.
Yeah, I was going to say. Everything I've heard says that there's 5 hubs.
Yeah, so I think I'm on the fourth of the five. Um, and basically, you move from these hub environments by basically going on a train, essentially, which is yeah, basically your train. So, and then you basically step out, and each area will have X number of levels to do, and basically on the train it tells you how many you've got on the level on that area environment to do. Like I say, there's 21 in this particular one, or I think there's 17 on the current one. And basically, you walk into the environment, and basically these teleporter devices, the very first one's unlocked, all the others are unlocked, and you could basically you go through them in a sequence or in sequel. So once you've unlocked one, we'll go through one teleport into the level. You do the puzzle, teleport back to the hub. The next one is unlocked, and it's a set sequence. You can't go to any random one and just to and go into any random teleport. You've got to go into their specific one. Because I suspect that's because they're doing the puzzle mechanics in a particular order, so to make it sensible or logical to you as a player to make it make sense, I guess.
I think it's this. I've heard that you can kind of sequence break it a little bit.
You probably, I mean,
or am I getting confused with another game?
I don't know if a sequence. I mean,
Very possible.
You have to define what you mean by sequence break in the context of this game, but you
So
can't.
basically, being able to go to the 4th hub instead of the 2nd.
No, you can't.
Okay, I'm thinking another game then.
I'm pretty sure they're locked. I think you've got to complete all of the levels in one hub to be able to unlock the next, to be able the ability to go to the next hub.
Okay.
If I recall from when I've seen the little sort of UI on the little train thing has got a padlock over the hub environments you can't get to.
Very possible. I'm thinking of something else and just got confused.
Yeah, I don't think you can. You can definitely go back, I suspect. But yeah, you can't go forward unless it's unlocked. Yeah, so I mean, in terms of the levels, like the demo that they did showed off a fair few of the puzzle mechanics, not all of them. The game, like the demo, the video that we did a month or so back, will do more justice than I could describing it. But yeah, the mechanics of the game is that initially you just pick up pictures or little photos that are on the wall. You pick them up. You can then hold them up and you can rotate them around and move them around. And when you don't really take a photo like you do later on, but in this game you just activate that image. It basically protrudes it into the environment in 3D aspect. It's amazing tech. I don't know how they've done it. It's really, really bloody impressive.
Particularly because it's in Unity.
It's in Unity.
Like, Unity can do some really impressive shit, but this isn't something that I don't think many people understood Unity could do.
Yeah, it's really, really impressive. How they've done it, and you basically then you interact with that environment. So you can basically walk from the standard levels environment into this picture that's been made, dynamically in the world you're in, and then you interact with objects inside of it. So some of the teleports you need to get to the next level or get out of the level require batteries. So some require more than one. So you can actually have an environment where you take a photo of the battery, and then you need 2 of them. So you just basically put the photo in the environment to then pick up the battery that was in the photo, sort of thing. It's really, really clever. There's only been one. Later on, you get literally a Polaroid camera that takes photos of anything you take a photo of, and that you use that the same way. You've even got ones where, how do I even describe this? You'd have to sort of see it. I don't think it was in the demo. I don't think. Maybe it was. So you'd be walking along, you'd be walking through the environment. It's all played from first person. Just to clarify that. And you'll see in the environment like three, I don't, three, vertical pictures.
Columns?
With only a third of the picture or a fifth of the picture on this sort of pole kind of thing. If you then stand in a certain point, you join up three poles that are like here, and here,
yeah.
and it makes the picture. Then you can walk into the environment.
It's kind of like some of the Riddler shit in Batman, like trying to line up the question marks just so the environment
exactly,
piece it together. Yeah.
So there's that. The other one they did of a similar sort of vein was they had three sort of things, but they're all lined up in a row, but they're different colours. So one will be sort of red, green, and blue, like the red, green, blue spectrum sort of stuff. And you got to power them. Once you power them, you can then look into them, and they become the environment to then walk into. So there's stuff like that that's kind of clever, very clever. What else is there? The one that I'm currently going through now, the one that I was going through, actually, the current one is it's really hard to describe. It's like it's you can take a photo of it, but then I couldn't even describe this. You have to just see what it does, and then even when you see it, you go, huh? What the hell's happening?
Yeah.
Then you got to figure out what it's actually doing to then understand how to use it. So they are definitely getting more elaborate, not necessarily harder, but they're getting more elaborate in what they're doing. I suspect that when they get to the last one, they'll all be combined into one big long one. I don't know. But yeah, like in terms of the various puzzle mechanics they put into it, it's really, really impressive. And it's just really it's one of the best games I've played in a long time. Not necessarily this year, but puzzle games in general. Like it's easier for me to get my head around than The Witness was. The Witness had some puzzles I could get. Some puzzles I just say, I have no idea how that got that answer.
I fucking fell off The Witness so hard.
So there's that. And the good thing about them is they're not Portal-esque in that you've got to manipulate a lot of environment objects inside of it, but I think a lot of people are combining saying Portal cross with Witness is where a lot of people are describing it. I think that's kind of true at some level, but yeah, I think it's
as a cross section of games that exist to give people an understanding of what the fuck this thing is. But it's also one of those things where you very much need to bare minimum see it in action for it all to actually click. Because you can spend the next fucking 15 minutes trying to describe this thing. Exactly, but once you see the video we did, or you play it yourself, because it's like $25, $30 off the top of my head.
Yeah, I don't think it's particularly long. I've heard it's sort of between
about 5 hours.
4 to 5 hours is what I've heard. I'm probably 3.5 to 4 through it. So yeah, like as you said, like I could sit here and try and describe some of these mechanics, but a picture tells 1,000 words, and this is where you go and look at a video and go, wow, that now kind of makes sense.
I kind of want to take the piss out of you just for saying that in reference to this fucking game, you motherfucker.
But yeah,
apparently it's not that hard either, which I'm really happy about.
Yeah, I mean, there's been one mission, one level. Where I was thinking, it's more of a question, am I doing the right thing? Rather than, what do I do? Like, I'm pretty sure what I was doing was the right thing. I just couldn't quite nail what I was doing, but then I realised, I am doing the right thing. I just wasn't quite getting it right. Is there
a rigidity to the puzzle solutions? Like there's only the very one specific right way to solve the puzzle?
Oh,
Or can you sort of be a little bit more creative and make it work for you?
I think there'd be only one solution because, like for example, there's one level or set of levels where, how in sporting fields where you'll see brand logos painted in really funny angles on the ground
because it shows on
because so that
very much a perspective thing.
Yeah, perspective. So they actually had a had a level that was basically built around that concept.
Oh, fuck yeah.
So I walked around and thought, oh, there's a staircase in front of me. But no, what they'd done is they painted the environment in a certain way that from a certain angle it looked like a staircase, but as you walked up to it, it wasn't. It was just a wall. But they
So
painted
take
it.
a picture, chuck it on.
Yeah. So no, that was no picture one. That one. Not every level has involved pictures. This was a completely a perspective thing.
Perspective fuckery.
Yeah, basically. And so there's even one where I walk around the corner from that same level and said, okay, where the hell am I going? Because that's just a tree over there. But once you sort of move a little bit to the right, wait a second, no, that's not that. That is a staircase. You walk up the staircase. So that sort of thing. There's one where at the same level again where you had to sort of take a bit of a leap of faith, and the way they painted the environment was there's a platform there that you didn't, if you had to jump in a certain way, you wouldn't see it, sort of thing. So stuff like that they've done, that they do as well. So that particular level, there's only one way to do it. That's it. You've got to follow. That's a linear path through that to that particular level. Ones where you're manipulating the environment with photos, you've got a little bit of control over it in terms of, like, the solution is I need to get that battery into the. I need to get it. I've got to take a photo of it. Where I then put that photo in my environment is completely up to me. But the concept would you'd have to do the same thing to solve it.
Yeah.
It's just what angle you took the photo of and what you do with the photo is entirely up to you. But the concept of doing that and rotating it around to make the battery drop, that's the mechanic. That's the thing you need to do.
Which gravity actually affects all the photos when you put them down.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So if you've got there's one where the battery's on a high sort of pole where you can't get access. Yeah. So what you have to do is you take a photo of it, rotate the image sideways, and then the battery drops down from it.
Yeah.
So it's got
really clever how they were able to manipulate Unity, pull this off. It's kind of like Antichamber in some regards.
Yeah, sure. So I'm really, really rate it. I mean, it's one of the best games, as I said earlier, one of the best games I've played in a long time. And certainly will be up there when it comes to Game of the Year. He's probably going to struggle overall because it's just got its singular thing. Now that singular thing is bloody impressive. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
The visuals of it are really good. It's got some really clever visual stuff that it does. Like I think in the demo, there's the level where you go through basically a pastel photo, a Doom level, a hand drawn thing. You walk up to basically a 2D picture of a house, and you walk into it and it becomes 3D. And so it's got some as I said, it's got some mechanics in there really clever. It doesn't have much to say in terms of music. As I said, the story doesn't seem to do anything much. So it's going to struggle when you've got other things that tick more boxes, for the better term. But bloody hell, the box that this one ticks is fucking impressive what they've done. So it's going to be up on my list for sure, but it may struggle on an overall site list that we may do.
I bought it.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think, based on what I've seen, what I've played so far, I think you'd be okay with it. There's only one mission that as I said earlier, that I struggled with, and I was doing the right thing, I just didn't quite execute it right.
Yeah.
It does have a hint system, which I believe is just one level of hint, not multiples, if that makes sense. It'll be something like you need to get yourself into a position where you can take a photo of this thing in totality. So one of the missions has got you powering up the teleporter. So it'll have a little lever you pull, and that powers the teleporter. But it might be an environment where you can't get access to it because it's behind a gate or something. But if you get yourself into a certain position, you can take a photo of the entire thing, and because of the particular mechanic, because of the mechanic of that particular environment, that particular level, the things that are blocking you are now no longer blocking you, and the photo disappear from the photo. You then put the photo down anywhere. You can then walk into the environment and turn on the switch, and away you go.
Yeah.
So there'll be things like you need to get yourself in a position where you can do X. It doesn't say you need to do X and then sort of finish it, but it gives you an idea of what you need to try and do in order to complete the level. So it does do the hint stuff pretty well. And of course, I'm sure by now there's dozens of videos on YouTube about it.
Oh yeah, there'll be guides all over the joint.
Guides all over the place by now. So, so yeah, that's Viewfinder. I really, really rate it. By the time I've done this next episode, I should be done with it. But yeah, it is really good. It did tax just going back to our original sort of starting point, it did tax the ally a little bit more than Dredge did a couple of weeks back. I think probably the 3D nature of it was a bit more over the top, but
that and also the sort of technical component of
yeah,
the placement of the images turning into the environment and all that sort of stuff.
So I think probably by the time I'd done my 30 odd minutes of usage on the flight, the battery was down into the low 20s, so it had taken a fair chunk out of it. But yeah, really good, really good. Next up on my list is old Puzzle Quest 3.
Now we briefly talked about this.
Briefly talked, maybe off air. I'm not quite sure.
No, it was towards the end of the last episode.
Yeah. So
you forgot that you'd played it, and we talked about it for a little bit.
Yeah. So this has basically had it's been on various platforms. You can see in the top list here, you've got all the platforms it's on and their release dates. Most of them were last year for some of them. For PC and iOS were last year. Or iOS and Android for last year, and the consoles and PC have basically been scattered throughout this year. It's Puzzle Quest 3. You know what it is. It's got some Match 3 gem stuff. I think we will do a video of this because it does have a few changes to it that make it a little bit more, a little bit different. It's got a story to it. It's fairly straightforward, as most Puzzle Quest stories have been. You've got leveling up. You've got gear scores and that kind of stuff. I think they've had that in the past. It's free to play on all platforms, I assume. And it's got.
I believe that is the case.
It's definitely on Xbox where I'm playing it. And you've basically got you got the shop to buy gems and stuff to speed things up, whatever. No need to do it so far, none whatsoever. So it's been fairly okay from that perspective. It does have a couple of slightly tweaks, I think, from when from previous Puzzle Quest games. So each mission, whatever you want to call it, where you actually are doing the fighting, you do your action points. You start with 3 action points. You do your moves as you can. Once you've used your 3 action points, it then plays out as you would have done it. So you can, but by doing that, if you do 5 or more gem matching in a move, that gives you an extra action point for the next turn you have. You've got different color gems, like you've had the yellow, blue, red,
different
green,
manners, all that sort of shit.
Different manners that populate. That you match a red one, you get put into the red mana box, which then allows you to use that particular ability or spell that uses the red mana to activate it, sort of thing. It does also have ultimate stuff as well, which if I'm brutally honest, I don't quite get how they fill up the meter for the ultimate. And so far, the moves themselves don't particularly seem all that powerful, but anyway. You've got a whole bunch of gear stuff. You've got armor. You've only got 1 weapon, but you've got magic slots, and they can all be upgraded. You've got spells you can upgrade as well to give you more buff, more power to them. The upgrades are friggin' small. The armor gear probably goes up by 4 or 5 each time. The spells got by like for example, it'll say when you activate this spell or ability, whatever it is, you will gain 10% of your current damage in damage against the enemy or something like that. And you upgrade that, it goes to 11%, then 12%, then 13%. So they're really, really small incremental changes. But I kind of like it in a really weird way. I mean, I've always liked the match 3 stuff. I've always had liked those sort of games. As I said, the story stuff is okay. It's told in really animated cutscenes without voice. And I think so far I've done 4 or 5 sort of chapters, and each one's got 10 or I think each got 10 missions levels. I don't want to what their terminology is. I haven't played it for a couple of weeks now. But I really like it. It's the free-to-play aspect of it isn't intrusive. Like, it's definitely there. You can go and buy stuff for real money, but I have not had a. There's not been oh bugger. They've made that thing wait 6 hours for me to progress it. Therefore, I need to go and turn the game off and come back to it, and then I can the next thing. You can gradually whip through the story in a pretty linear fashion. There's what's the word? Party members that have got their own leveling up process that can also have their own sort of story chapter stuff to them as well.
Do you form relationships with them?
Not as much as not a relationship per se. You just basically have a conversation with them. Yeah. Well, not so far, I should say. I'll rephrase that. Not so far, but I can't see it going that direction per se.
I mean, if it hasn't done it yet, it's probably not going to.
Yeah, probably not going to. But I mean, yeah, so you've got those sort of stuff. You've got your standard, your standard boss battles where they're really powerful. So you've got regular health bar for each character, including yours. You've got an armor bar as well, and probably some sort of spiritual bar as well that can be taken down. And yeah, it's got the same thing. Skulls are how you do your main damage.
Yep.
So it's got a lot of things that you would have known from the forums. I think it's worth doing a small video on just because it does it.
Yeah.
It does seem to have some. It does seem to have some differences to it, and it could be me just completely misremembering what the previous games were about, and it's exactly the same mechanics. But it doesn't.
Well, that's what I was going to say. It's like
I don't think they are, but I'm not really. I wouldn't stand on a. I wouldn't guarantee that's the case because I just can't quite remember what those other games are because they are 10 plus years old now, the original series. So.
I was going to say, you can just go, yo, it's Puzzle Quest. You'll know it if you've played it. Puzzle Quest 2 came out in 2010.
Yeah, so it's been a long time since that game came out. So
you can't really say to people, particularly anyone listening to this, if you've liked Puzzle Quest in the past, go check this out.
Yeah.
Well, some people weren't born. A lot of people weren't born when this fucking thing came out.
Yeah, exactly.
Or when Puzzle Quest 2 came out.
Yeah, and Puzzle Quest, the first game before that was. I think they were relatively.
06?
I think they were closer than it was to between 2 and 3, but
07.
07. So it was 3 years between 1 and 2, so to speak, and then 10 years to 11 or did you say 2012?
12 to 13.
12 to 13 years before this one. So it's by 505 Games, which they do a lot of this kind of weird, sort of odd stuff like this. So
the developers stayed the same. It's just the publisher that's changed.
I think so.
Because D3 published 2.
Yeah, and I think Infinity Plus 2. I think they might even be Australian company. I don't quite.
I believe that is St Kilda.
I thought it was an Australian company.
Fucking St Kilda Bogans.
So I recall going to it must have been a PAX years and years ago, where they were talking about Puzzle Quest 2. And they had it there on the show. So
has PAX even been in Australia long enough for that to happen?
It must have been. I don't know. Maybe it was an EB Games, EB World does that, but I'm pretty sure it was a PAX. I'm sure it was a PAX.
When did
PAX Australia?
When did Street Fighter Cross Tekken come out? That came out. Street Fighter Cross Tekken was 2012, and I played that at PAX in a tournament.
Okay, that lines up.
And I did really badly. So that was 2 years after Puzzle Quest 2.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure it was a PAX. It was something PAX Light. Maybe it was a PAX before the PAX became. I don't know. But yeah, I remember seeing it at a trade show of some description. It may have been at EB World. I can't remember now. But yeah. So that's basically Puzzle Quest 3. My last game is a game we've covered a couple of times before. It's Dredge. I think.
Hey.
I'm still playing through Dredge. That's a game that I'm just going back to playing for an hour or so and then sort of dropping out. It's not something I'm really sort of focused on. Although having said that, playing it that way means I keep losing the thread of the story, which is actually kind of interesting at some level. At least no, I don't lose the track of the story. I lose track of what the fuck I'm doing. What quest am I doing? Where am I going to do them? That kind of stuff. I then go, shit. What was that quest? Oh, that was going over there. Okay. But yeah, really enjoying that. Visuals again of that game are really cool, and actually the dialogue that you hear from the various characters is actually kind of good as well. So So yeah, I completed a couple of quests while I was on the flights and in the hotels a couple of weeks ago.
The new patch for it just came out. I think adding photo mode and an option to take out some of the more monstrous,
Yeah, I think I saw.
I guess, elements.
Yeah, I think I saw some of that. I think I might have played it just after that patch had come out. So it didn't change how I played the game, but the changes they made seem like quite good. Good changes to make.
That game's fucking great.
That is really good. Like, that's going to be up there as well as my game of the year as well when we get to it. So, but yeah, there's not much more to say that in this game. We've covered that enough. The last couple of, well, you've covered it, I've covered it. We've done a video of it too, if I recall. Yeah, we did, didn't we? Yep. So we've covered that.
I guided you through the first 45 minutes to an hour.
That's right, you did too. Yes. So yeah, that's it for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn that off. And if you're ready to talk about your games, I'll put your games on.
Yeah.
Let's go with that.
It's coming. Hey,
there we go.
The one thing I will say before I talk about the games is that I have, I think, quintupled my backlog since we last did a podcast.
You keep buying more stuff too.
Like, you know how we said like in July, like either mid-June-ish or early July, it's like, it's fuck all coming out. I literally have been able to buy 3 or 4 at least sort of indie games a week.
Oh yeah, I mean indie games, yes, like they're going to come out a lot. It's the big AAAs that are fairly, quiet on the front, I guess, from that perspective, but. Yeah, like you and I were discussing yesterday about, we could do something with the Internet Game Database in terms of upcoming releases, because we do occasionally do a bit of the episode where we cover that upcoming releases. And I was saying to you yesterday that according to the Internet Game Database for August, there are nearly 500 games being released.
Yeah.
So and they're the ones that they're known about with an actual date, or date within that sort of range. It doesn't stop the 500 other games that just come out of nowhere. They just get released. So, I mean, I can see it's easy enough to add to your game list if you don't have the self-control to not buy the bloody things, which is your problem. Isn't it?
The good part is most of them seem to be fairly shortish, like 5 to 8 hours.
Yeah.
Or if they're longer, they're in the I think the only one that has a real breadth or length to it, outside of Remnant 2, is Jagged Alliance 3.
Okay, yep. I thought you were going to say
I grabbed that. Hey? No, fuck no. No way. No. Nah, Jagged Alliance 3 got really good reviews, so I pre-ordered that at the last minute.
Also, Baldur's Gate 3 has hit the ground running for sure as well, but I'm not playing it.
Yeah, that game...
I think that might be
I tried playing the original Sin because Larian Studios are the team behind Divinity Original Sin 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Because Paul was massive on the first one of that.
Yeah.
And I tried playing that on PlayStation for like an hour, and I'm like, yep. I would have to sit down and spend a lot more time thinking about this and trying to get into this. Not that it's beyond me, but there's just way more things I just want to play. I'd prefer playing.
Yeah, exactly. I'm on the same boat. But...
So, speaking of games that I have wanted to play, maybe still do want to play, let's start with fucking Diablo 4.
Yeah, I've not gone back. I'm not going back to Diablo 4. So,
last we did one of these. It was pre-season.
Correct. Yes, it was.
The season had not launched.
Correct.
Nor had the actual patch before the season.
Correct.
And boy, howdy, did that fuck some things.
Yeah, that's the reason why I've not gone back to it.
There's a bunch of changes. There were some bugs in the patch. So there was a bug in the patch that actively fucked the drop rates for the Helltide cinders, the aberrant cinders in the Helltide.
Okay.
So you get way less than you're actually supposed to. But they just made a bunch of changes in a bunch of different ways that, particularly making endgame content worthwhile playing through, just completely fucked. Like, the survivability, health, and armor completely cratered. I did it like after that patch launched. I tried doing the Helltide, and I went okay for about 15, 20 minutes because they changed the secret chaos chests from 175 cinders to 250.
Oh god, okay.
Which is a ridiculous change. And like
Yeah.
I'd said it last time, there's a site called helltides.com where it shows you where that chaos chest is. But like I died 4 times in the space of about 5-10 minutes in the Helltide because like in 3 hits.
Yeah.
And because they'd increased the level of the actual monsters in the Helltide and they reduced the sort of health survivability armor sort of situation, and it just fucking fucked it completely.
Mm.
And then for whatever like that was a change they said partly was there's so many people just powering through this, like absolutely power leveling through it. We need to sort of slow it down a little bit.
Mm.
And then they did like about a week after that patch launch, they did a campfire chat. It was like, we fucked this and we're never doing something like this again.
But, I was just trying to look for the comments, the words they used. But yeah, basically they said, we're not gonna do a patch like that again ever. So basically,
I mean, they say that,
but yeah, based on what I'm reading on now, so you're referring to 1.1.0, I believe.
Yes.
1.1.1 is out in a couple of days' time, if I'm reading this correctly. And
or if it's not already out, I can't remember.
Yeah, it might be very close. The early sort of talk so far is that people are a lot happy with what they've done with this patch.
Yes. So sorcerers were apparently one of the weaker classes in Diablo 4 as it was. They got fucked into the dirt hard by this patch.
Yeah.
Barbarians took a bit of a hit.
Yeah,
part of it was you'd see. Go on.
So that's part of the reason why I have not gone mad to it. So 1.1.0 nerfed a lot of what made the barbarian fun to play with. And I'd struggle with the particular boss in that game anyway with that character. So I thought, oh shit, here we go. They nerfed him even worse. So okay, I'm not coming back until they fix it. Because I assume they would, because the balance patches do like, that, then go back that way, then eventually they come back towards the middle once they sort of figure out what they need to do. So I fully expected the next patch to sort of bring it back the other way, which by all accounts that's what they've done.
Not fully.
Not fully, no, but it's got it back to where it was to a degree.
They're sort of working the weaker builds for those two classes a little bit more than fully restoring what they fucked in the initial pre-season patch.
Yeah. So hopefully once that patch goes out, which I'm looking like it's going to be out in August 8th, it goes out. So by the time, a couple of days after this podcast goes out.
2 days after this.
A couple of days after that, that patch will go out. I'll probably just sit back, wait to the actual, real world reaction to it. People get to actually play it and figure out, it is good, it is whatever. Then I might start jumping back into it. But it's kind of what I kind of expected would happen with this game, is they would balance patch it and get it wrong. Which is, having said that, I mean, considering what that game is, how big and how broad it is, putting a balance patch out that breaks it, that's probably going to be a fairly easy thing to do, to be honest. Not necessarily
very much so.
Not necessarily a deliberate act, but you could see how that could happen easily.
Part of it was like you had streamers hitting like 2 million, 2 billion damage figures.
Yeah, which
partly because of bugs in builds and stuff like that. Partly just because of the way certain abilities happen to come together with the different items that drop the last deal.
Yeah.
So they tweaked some of the bugs to prevent that from happening, but then they just went further and tweaked things that didn't need to be tweaked, or just made things way rougher. When you're in a when you're in a dungeon, when you're done with that dungeon, you can use the emote wheel to leave the dungeon, and it creates a portal to take you out to the dungeon entrance.
Yep.
Yeah, they extended the length of that from 3 to 5 seconds.
Yeah, for no reason.
For no fucking reason. Like, what does it achieve? Outside of deliberately slowing the pace down, the more I think about it, the more blown away I am at how ill-conceived and misguided some of the changes just are.
Yeah, that's an obvious one that you could see. What's the purpose of doing that?
That's just to slow people down to slow the leveling at just enough each time to make it annoying.
Yeah.
Like, I went to the the official Blizzard discussion boards, and holy fuck, it was a shambolic mess.
I don't think
It was a mess of gatekeeping, over the top whinging, calling for firings,
yeah.
with some legitimate complaints and criticisms here and there.
Scattered things you got to find amongst the rough. Yeah.
It was scattered like a fucking shotgun buckshot.
Yeah.
It like, ugh. You could swing a digital cat in that bloody in those discussion boards and hit fuckwit after fuckwit after fuckwit.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. I have played some of the new season on and off with a necromancer, which I've been relatively enjoying.
Yep.
I think I'm level 30. I've hit level 31 or 32 on the battle pass. There was a prime gaming bonus for a four tier skip.
Okay.
On the battle pass, but I just haven't opened Diablo in about a week.
Okay.
But like all of the fast travel points were reset in the open world, so you had to go discover them all again.
What? Oh, really? Oh, great.
For the season, yeah. Like it left the map discovered.
Oh, okay. But when you go into the season aspect, it's all reset everything. Okay.
Like the map discovery was left, fortunately.
Oh, okay, so the
but
fog of war,
going into the actual cities,
the fog of war was gone, so to speak. You could see what.
Yes.
But you couldn't.
But going to the cities was like, okay, let's spend half an hour riding around on the horse, fucking reactivating these fast travel points. All of the side quests were reset. So basically there is some seasonal story stuff you're playing through with some challenges attached to it.
Yep.
And then just all the side quests.
Okay.
Which I did a fair few of them when I played through it the first time.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like, the more if I think about it for any stretch of time, it's fuck this.
What's the point of doing this kind of thing? Yeah.
Yeah, I've got way more things I want to play. Like I said, I quintupled my fucking backlog. Like playing Diablo 4 for an hour or two, yeah, it's fun enough. And like it's something where again I watch videos on the second screen or whatever. But god damn, like the amount of seasonal content doesn't match to the amount of grinding content you've already played through.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So it's like whatever.
Yeah.
So for now, I'm sort of maybe back and forthing on Diablo 4, but like I said, I haven't opened it in a good week. Week and a bit. Street Fighter 6. Let's roll it down a little bit. There it is. There's Luke, the fuckface. I can't, I'm going to drop a Lupe Fiasco reference.
Okay.
I can't stop. I just keep going back to it, even though it hurts me so. I don't know if I'm going to get out of gold.
Okay.
Because there's a part of me that has to be very, very careful and measuring, engaging my temperament before playing Street Fighter.
Yeah.
Because if I'm even sort of having close to slightly a shitty day or the right series of things go wrong, I just get fucking so pissed off and become a fucking raging dickhead. To the point where I was like, okay, let's not play this right now. Just some of the things that you see other people do or some of the things that don't land that you think they should.
Yeah.
Oh, it's fucking... There's elements... it's a fucking fantastic game, and it's very much... The things that piss me off are either incredibly very minute that become more amplified when you're trying to work up that ranked ladder.
Yeah.
Or they're things that I'm interpreting wrong or just not seeing or think I'm seeing that aren't there.
Yeah, okay.
I will say I have watched a fairly decent amount of Evo this weekend.
I didn't realise that was even on. So
a lot later in the year.
Yeah, I thought it was... Yeah, okay. Yep.
Rashid is out, the first new character on the character pass. Rashid came out about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. So I ended up... The stream of day one pulls on Twitch was 11 and a half hours long. And while making and eating dinner and after like that on Saturday night, by the time I went to bed, I'd gotten through about 9.5 hours of it.
Okay, yep.
But a lot of that was skipping skipping the commentary talk between
Okay.
matches,
Yeah,
skipping
yeah.
the ad breaks and all that sort of shit. So I was
Yep.
able to get through a fair bit of it. I think I said it last year, but man, you see so many different controller setups. You like people with the WASD hitboxes
Yeah, okay.
and just a different. I saw a dude absolutely ruin someone with Luke, and I've never felt more inadequate as a man in my life. There was a fucking blind player.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
There was a player who was legit blind. Like, literally had to have someone go to his. Like, he played Honda. And Honda in this game is not someone that's easy to play. Like, he's never been easy to play, but in this game, like, the links to connect combos and stuff like that. But apparently there's sound accessibility options that make it possible. Fucking dude won. Dude won his set that was on stream, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? Apparently there's a documentary crew following him around to like shoot the documentary on his playing and stuff like that. But yeah, man. So just like literally 10 minutes before we started recording, they played the last of the Friday, Saturday, like our Sunday, their Saturday.
Okay.
Day 2.
Yep.
To get to, they're doing top 6 now. Each game's tournament, each game is top 6 on Monday, or tournament Sunday their time, Monday our time. They do the top 8 match, 2 top 8 matches on the Saturday to get down to it.
Yep.
Okay. So there are 6 players left, and outside there's 2 Kens and 1 modern player, which is really fucking weird. But yeah, I just feel so inadequate watching those people play. As I really like this game, but I'm never gonna get to this level. God damn it. So yeah, Evo's cool. I think I can learn stuff from it, and then every time I go back to it, it's like, no, I can't. Scroll this down a little some to Resident Evil 4. The remake. Another survival horror remake that came out in the year 2023, because there was Dead Space earlier this year.
You rated that
and
one
then
highly?
there's this. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. That was fucking great. I really liked Dead Space. This is the Resident Evil 4 is fucking cool. Well, I didn't really get into the original version of Resident Evil 4, like the rigidity in the combat and being unable to move. I found the combat to be somewhat relatively inaccurate.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Because there was a real accuracy required that I couldn't really get to work with a controller.
Yep.
But yeah, man, I played mouse and keyboard this time.
Yep.
I died a fair few times. I think I got a B for my finalized ranking.
Okay.
After about 20 hours.
Okay, so
I missed a couple of collectibles and one fucking merchant request, which are like the side missions. There's a couple of sort of, for lack of a better term, secret points of no return.
okay.
That you don't know you hit until after you've hit them.
Yeah, okay, yep.
So I missed the second last merchant request, which is really annoying because I'd done all of them. And I missed a couple of treasures in the castle because I didn't find a key, and I couldn't get back to it. But man, it's so good. It looks really good. It looks like they've updated the graphics on these remakes really, really well. There is still some stuttering in the PC version.
Okay.
That was one of the big things on launch, and one of the reasons why I hadn't played it until now was reportedly, the stuttering was fucked.
Okay.
But that's better. Is it fixed completely? No. To the point, I still haven't bought Jedi Survivor yet because that PC port is apparently still fucked.
Interesting enough, I actually started that up the other day on Xbox to see if they'd fix on Xbox, and it is actually on. It's now playable on at least on Series X. It was. So I may get back to that one because what I played of that game was only an hour or so I played of it. I really enjoyed what I played of it, so I would like to get back to it. But it was nigh unplayable on Xbox because it was just it wasn't stuttering. It was I think the frame rate was just utterly fucked. Like it was 20 frames a second, whereas it should have been,
Yeah.
45 to 60 sort of stuff. So it was just really, really janky to play. But yeah,
Apparently, PC version had some mad crash issues in it,
no doubt.
and apparently they had not been fixed as yet. But I really, really dug Resident Evil 4. I really enjoyed it. For me, the combat is a lot better. It's the same, similar combat model to what they used in the Resident Evil 2 remake, which I really enjoyed.
Mm.
It's that and the immersive sim exploration elements of I'm going to try and go through all these areas and find all the fucking items I can find.
Yeah, yeah.
For whatever reason, the kleptomaniac in me, I don't steal things in real life, but I steal a fuckload of. I steal whatever's not nailed down in a goddamn video game.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind doing a hardcore New Game Plus run.
Okay, yeah.
Because there's weapons I haven't bought yet or seen yet because they get introduced in New Game Plus. And you can get upgrades that give you infinite ammo for those weapons, including big fuck off hand cannon revolvers and shit like that. In order to increase my overall final game ranking, it's based on time.
As in how quick?
And
how quickly did it? Oh, okay.
There's an achievement for finishing that game in 8 hours or less.
Oh, Jesus, okay.
And at least a couple of the unlocks from hardcore difficulty and stuff like that, unlock after either 5.5 or 6. If you finish it in 5.5 or 6 hours.
Oh, okay.
So you are fucking straight up booking through that motherfucker. Which I'm like, yeah, nah. Final game.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't played that from a numerosity perspective. Not too many numbers wise, but Resident Evil was 20 odd hours.
Mm.
And I've started and finished that since we last recorded. I've obviously still been playing a bunch of Street Fighter.
Mm-hmm.
I finished the Mortal Kombat 11 Aftermath story as well. I'm kicking it old school.
Okay, yep.
So that's done. Showgunners. I played a demo for this in a Steam Next Fest way back. Well, not way back, but last year, I think. And I thought it was fine. But I wasn't 100% sold. It was on sale, so I was looking around at some reviews and I thought, fuck it, I'll grab it. For those who don't know what Showgunners is, it's essentially XCOM, but it's a Nightmare Future Murder TV game show.
Ah, that's that one. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, okay.
It was called Homicidal All-Stars. They changed the name to Showgunners.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really glad I bought it because they add the exploration elements from a Miasma Chronicles or Mutant Year Zero with a somewhat lightened version of that XCOM tactical tactical combat.
Mm-hmm.
And I really enjoy that combination. And it's apparently it seems fairly short. I think I've got three quote unquote episodes, arenas, whatever you want to call it, left.
Mm-hmm.
And it's I really dig it. It's really fun. There's some really cool post-processing visual effects on some of the narrative flashbacks that occur. The full game outshines the demo because the demo didn't make it obvious there's that exploration component.
Yep.
The demo only showed the actual combat. There's some really cool environmental puzzles that are in that exploration as well. I'm really digging this. And I think it's Miasma Chronicles it was really fun, but it's also a drawback where you had to stealth out dudes before getting bogged down into actual combat.
Actual combat, yeah. Yep.
And while it's fun skulking around with a sniper rifle and fucking dudes up, it's also annoying that if you accidentally set them off, you're completely outnumbered and fucked.
Yeah. Yep.
This doesn't have that. The exploration element is the part I really dig. I like this stealthing around and shooting dudes, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But when it all goes to shit, it's kind of less fun. But yeah, I'm digging Showgunners. Depending on how I go, I may actually finish this before I go back to work by the time this goes up. I do want to start some other things. I I don't know if I'm going to work through my backlog, what I've now built as a fucking ridiculous backlog, either in release order or if I'm just going, I want to play this. No. We'll see how we go. Like I said, I watched a bunch of Evo. I also watched a DC animated movie called Justice Society World War II.
Mm.
Basically, the Flash is a fucking idiot, ran too fast, and ended up in World War II, where he fought alongside Wonder Woman. Like, remember in the Wonder Woman? Have you seen the Wonder Woman movie?
I've seen the first one, but not the second one.
Yeah, the first one.
I've seen the first one.
Yeah. So the first one is basically like Wonder Woman was in World War II, as it turns out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's an old version of the Flash that I can't remember his name, and there's a few other characters that are like I thought it was cool. Is it my favorite of the DC animated movies? No. I bought it for like $20 on Blu-ray. And I got 2 other DC animated movies on 4K Blu-ray, 2 for 20. So fucking welcome wood. Go me. And I bought The Last of Us TV show on 4K Blu-ray, but I have not watched it yet.
Okay.
Anyway, that's the games.
Cool.
That's what we've played. In talking about all this other stuff, as we've been talking about the games, we've basically covered any sort of real newsy type stuff. So how about we go to the beginning and end and maybe look at August's new releases?
We should do that.
We should? All right.
We should.
There it is. Damn it. Because of, like you said, because it's a VMix call, there is that delay between me doing something and it showing up on the call. So I'm trying to guess. I'm trying to anticipate the change, the end of the music to go blah, but I fuck it up because it's somewhat out. God damn it! Oh shit! I was scratching my hand and I've actually scratched my hand. I've drawn blood. My hand was itchy, but I've drawn blood on it. What a dickhead! Anyway, August's new releases. How about we talk about them, Graham? So we are starting the second week of August, which means there have been a few games that have come out already. The biggest one, like you said, Baldur's Gate 3 came out of early access. There's a new Cut the Rope that came out. Cut the Rope Daily. That's weird. Moving on. This week has a few fairly interesting and hopefully good games coming out. WrestleQuest, which is a wrestling role-playing game. Which I'm really looking forward to. That comes out on Tuesday, Wednesday our time. The out of early access release of 30XX, which is a Mega Man roguelike, is on Wednesday, Thursday. Atlas Fallen, which has like sand surfing Dark Souls vibes. That's out basically Friday-ish. And that's what I'm really hopeful comes out well. Stray hits the Xbox.
The other one too is I Am Future comes out of early access. The game we covered in a video.
In the last Steam Next Fest.
I think same thing. Next Fest, if I recall. Yep.
I knew I was going to bloody forget about that because it's not on here.
Yeah, so I'm actually on the I'm on the IGDB coming soon list as well while we're going through.
There you go. There's a role-playing musical game coming out also on the same day as Atlas Fallen called Stray Gods. That was delayed a week to avoid Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah, I've heard of some interesting things. I'm actually curious about that game. I listened to a podcast that had Austin Wintry in it, and he did all the music for it. And it sounds like it was an absolute bucket load of work for him to do. So I'm curious to see what it is. But it sounds like it might be kind of an interesting game, actually.
Everspace 2 hits the consoles, which Everspace 2 got some really positive reviews after that came out. Basically, space Diablo in a spaceship. The first game was more roguelike, whereas this is more contained, or not contained is not the right word, but much more finite. Hammerwatch 2 and moving out to on a whole bunch of 2s coming out on the 15th. On Guard is a game that comes out on the 16th that I've been seeing some positive talk about. It's kind of like a sword fighting pirate style thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be lying if I didn't think it was kind of funny to skip over a certain game that I know you're really interested in. But Marble It Up Ultra.
Yes,
Basically 3 like Marble Madness sort of style games, sort of cool. Shadow Gambit, The Cursed Crew.
Yep, that's the big one for me.
You've pre-ordered that?
No, not yet. No need to pre-order.
Where are you going to play that?
I will probably do it. Probably do it on PC, I suspect, because that gives me the ability to then take it away with me when I want to travel. So that's probably having the Ally basically means I'll buy a lot more on PC than I ever did before because of that thing. Although having said, I do have a Series S, and that thing is friggin' small as well.
Yep.
So buying on Xbox is not necessarily a prevent me from traveling with it. So.
Can you get modular travel monitors to put on a Series S like you could PlayStations?
There is actually a Kickstarter, which is well and truly gone, but the product still exists. An Australian-based company actually built and designed essentially a laptop screen that plugged into the back of the console, and then sort of folded down on top of the console, and basically gave you like a 17-inch screen or something like that. So. Not cheap, like $300 or $400 if I recall, but basically it turns.
That'd be probably 1080. That's not bad.
It's not bad. I mean, it's obviously playing on a Series S, so it's probably not going to get 4K out of it anyway. So you don't need the big sort of thing. But yeah, so that's sort of where it becomes a bit more practical to travel with. It is bloody small. I don't know if you've actually seen one. I'll just go grab mine.
I think I've seen one in a store or something.
But
I'm gonna fucking laugh if you just pick up Gus and bring him over to this camera. That'd be really funny to me.
So that's the Series S.
Yeah, that's probably just from a length perspective, maybe just. Compare it to the. Oh, okay.
An iPad for comparison.
Yeah.
So it's not that much smaller, bigger than an iPad, really. Well, it's obviously bulkier, obviously, and heavier, of course.
Yeah.
But you plug that in. So basically, this thing sits on the back of that. And then this sort of folds down like that. So yeah, like there's options even for taking a Series S away with me. Having said that, the X isn't actually that much bigger. When you think about it, X isn't that much bigger than that. So there's options there. And as one of the things I did play, or with the Ally, I bought a external dock for it, which allowed me to plug it into a monitor while I was in the hotel room, and it played fine. So you got options there. I could just take that with me and plug it into a full-on TV and play it on. The hotel I was in last week had a massive screen in it, like a 65-inch bloody HDMI TV, and it was bloody brilliant. So
And you had access to the HDMI cable?
Yeah, like it was a.
That's all right.
Yeah, so yeah, that's also an option that's probably more more achievable, really. So yeah, like there's now, like with the size of the S and obviously the Ally, traveling with games is now a lot more.
You're spoiled for riches.
Spoiled for choice, basically. So. Yeah, I probably would play it on PC. Go back to the original question, because of that portability. But I think I probably would actually prefer to play it on Xbox. But that's just Look, it's an entirely possible game I may end up buying twice because I like it. We'll see.
I was literally gonna say
because I've got it on PC. I've got Desperados 3 on PC and Xbox. So
isn't Shadow Gambit coming to Game Pass?
I don't believe so. Might be on. I don't think so. I wouldn't have thought so.
That's why I heard it was coming to Game Pass. Doesn't say nothing yet. Oh.
No, I don't think so. I'd be very surprised if that came to Game Pass.
Anyway. Vampire Survivors comes out on the Switch on the same day as Shadow Gambit, which the Switch would be a great place to play Vampire Survivors. And apparently the team behind Vampire Survivors is working on basically an engine update so it runs a shitload better and hopefully streams a shitload better.
Okay.
Because there's some mad bitrate issues when trying to stream or record video of that game. Bomb Rush Cyberpunk comes out on the 18th, which is the spiritual successor to Jet Set Radio. I'm looking forward to that. Madden on the same day. The Hedgehog will either see its shadow or shit itself and go back in its hole. Immortals of Avium was delayed, so that's coming out on the 22nd of August. I don't think that's particularly interesting, but
yeah, it's more a case of I'm curious how that game's going to land because yeah, I've seen some interesting things about it, and I'm interested in it from a very, very far perspective, but
from an academic perspective,
yeah, just to see what it's like. I mean, it could be a game that lands quite well. I don't know.
But stranger things have happened. Like Blasphemous 2 coming out on the 24th. Man, I'm looking forward to Blasphemous 2. That first game is so fucking good. Armored Core 6 comes out on the 25th.
Yep.
Which people are basically expecting mech souls.
Yeah, I think that's probably a bit over the, maybe not quite really accurate.
Yeah, it's not. It's literally just the 6th Armored Core game. So maybe just keep your expectations in check a little there. Goodbye Volcano High is something that has received a lot of positive buzz leading up to its release on the 29th, as has Sea of Stars. That by the team behind The Messenger, the ninja platform that went from 8-bit to 16-bit visuals halfway through the game.
Oh, vaguely recall that one. Yeah, yep.
Yep, that game was dope. And Under the Waves, which was another one of the sort of first-person, for lack of a better term, walking simulator, adventure-style games underwater, comes out on the 29th. And personally, I feel like that's outside of Trine 5, which look, you said looking at this before we started, there's a fucking 5th trial game? Trine game?
Trine,
I was like, yeah, dog.
Yeah.
But that's August.
Yeah. There's some decent stuff there. I think it's some decent stuff there. It's definitely some. Obviously, the big link to me is on the Shadow game, but yeah, other than that, outside of that, obviously we talked about it earlier. There's hundreds of other games going to get released, but they're the big ones. But I mean, I'm curious about Armored Core. To see if that game sort of how that really plays. Likewise, again with that Mortals of Avium, I'm curious about how that plays and how that sort of lands. But yeah, outside of those two and the Dead Cells coming to PS5, is that right? That's weird. Yep. It's been on PS5 for ages. Not really. Okay.
It's been on PS4 for ages.
Fair enough. Okay.
And it's been playable on a 5 because it's the PS4 version.
Oh, maybe that's something. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
nice.
And then August ends, and then literally a week after August ends, quite possibly the biggest game of the year comes out. The biggest game of the year that's not Zelda, put it that way.
Why was I just seeing Baldur's Gate? Oh, Baldur's Gate 3 on PS5s in September. That's weird. Yeah. What did that come out?
Apparently, there's some difficulty in getting that thing onto the Xbox because of the Series S.
Yeah, that's I've been read about that.
But yeah, I'm super curious with how Starfield ends up turning out.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah, and then we'll get to September probably in a few weeks. But September's got some dope looking shit in there too.
Yeah.
Besides just Starfield.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that later. Let's close that list. All right, let's also close that window. There we go. I was like, hey, let's close this window. No, not yet, because we need to wrap up this episode of the Should I Play This Game podcast for the 7th of August, 2023, episode 285. It works. It makes it hard trying to stretch words with short syllables out over extended musical notes.
Yes.
It sounds awkward. It sounds weird. Graham, say goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. I've been Steve. He's been Graham. So next week we'll be doing some video stuff.
Yep.
I'll be doing my usual shit on Friday nights. I think I'm going to start the Mummy Demastered on Friday night for kicking it old school.
Okay.
I've had a weird hankering to play that again for a while.
Mhm.
So we'll maybe kick that off on Friday and then some more Street Fighter. And next week we'll record some shit. Possibly Puzzle Quest and possibly some other shit. Who the fuck knows right now?
Yep.
Certainly not I. But for now, Graham, hit the button. Goodbye.
Bye bye.